Bats and the Importance of Their Conservation by Summit Stark. Bats are often portrayed as the boogeymen in media. They are the monsters and animals to be feared. They're linked to vampires, and they're bloodsuckers, and they carry diseases. And they're even put in horror movies like Vampire Bats from 2005. They're also linked to diseases, most recently as the COVID-19 pandemic. At the beginning of it, news outlets were saying that a bowl of bat soup from a Chinese food market was the reason COVID-19 started spreading. Later, we found out that this was incorrect and it was false information, but the fear and the stigma is still linked to bats to this day. They're also linked to rabies, but a study found according to the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation, only 6% of the bats that they had been able to capture for this study even had rabies. And rabies is only able to be confirmed in a laboratory setting. You can't see it visually. But it still warrants the fact of that 6% still could carry rabies, so we should still give them our distance. But they're not as disease-ridden and terrifying as we associate them to be. Bats are nocturnal pollinators and pest control experts. Over 300 plant species worldwide rely on them to pollinate. For example, mangoes, avocados, agave plants, where we get tequila from, and figs, are just to name a few of the plants that rely on a bat in order to pollinate to continue making fruit that we enjoy, possibly day to day. They also are massive pest control. According to How Many Insects Can Bats Eat? Here's Your Answer, by Marcel Iseli. The largest colony of bats in America involves 20 million Mexican free-tailed bats that are found in the Texas Bracken Caves. It is said that if everything goes perfect, they could eat 220 tons of insects a night. If we didn't have those bats, then we would have those 220 tons of insects to deal with and associate ourselves. Another major factor and danger to bats is white nose syndrome. White nose syndrome is caused by a fungus that grows on bats during hibernation that disrupts their hibernation. It wakes them up, and then they go and search for food and water like they normally would, except it's the middle of winter and those sources are not available. According to conservation biology, 90% of northern long-eared, little brown, and tricolored bat populations in the past 10 years have been demolished due to this syndrome. It still has no known cure. But if we get the word out and the knowledge out there, hopefully we'll be able to find one. This is just some of the reasons why bats are important to conserve. They're amazing pollinators, expert pest control, and someone we should not fear, but form a symbiotic relationship with them. If we can help cure the white nose syndrome, then they can continue to help us enjoy our summers. I hope you learn more and want to reach out and possibly find more knowledge for yourself.